Why did Operation Barbarossa fail? One of the main ways the Germans moved supplies was by train, but this came with its own set of complications. The USSR was so big, it needed big trains, and big trains need big tracks to run on. German trains being smaller couldn't fit on Soviet tracks. The Germans did somewhat get around this by having dedicated units that moved along the tracks with the trains, making them usable, as well as building service stations along the track route to ensure things ran as they should. But this in itself was a large-scale building operation that drained men and material. Add the fact that the Soviets destroyed many of their own trains and train stations under their scorched earth policy, and many German service stations were destroyed by pockets of retreating Red Army troops, and you have a situation where it's a bit of a nightmare for the Germans to transport things by train. An example of this, a little later in the war, was during the Battle of Stalingrad, where the 3 railway tracks running to and from the city weren't fully adjusted to accommodate German trains. This resulted in massive lines of trains and supplies banked up, unable to get to the city, leaving the German troops there horrendously short of food, fuel, ammo and other essentials. General Paulus in Stalingrad desperately needed more men to capture the city, but he couldn't even equip the men he had, let alone any more. These issues are highlighted by the lack of food the Germans had at this point. They more or less had to live off the land. However, the Soviets had destroyed crops and other food supplies, again under their scorched earth policy, so the Germans had to resort to taking what they could from locals. But even then, there are reports that many had to eat their horses before even making it to Stalingrad. For the full story, click the link below.